Today we have Asim, who is a dental student in Bulgaria. So it's going to be a good one for finding out what it's like to apply abroad, apply to do dentistry in Europe. So thank you, Asim, for coming on to this and sharing
No
your
problem.
dental journey so far. As I always do, I like to ask the question, why did you want to get into dentistry? Why do you want to become a dentist?
At first, I was actually considering doing medicine, but um, I carried out a little bit of work experience in the hospitals, and I didn't really enjoy it. So I had uh, I had the talk with the student services at college,
Yeah.
and you guys also came in to speak to us about the prospect of dentistry. So I explored the career of dentistry, and I did a little bit of work experience in the dental field,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed this a little bit more. So I thought, um, if I'm enjoying dentistry, then why not just apply to do dentistry at university?
Okay, so it
And that's
was the
what
work
I
experiences
decided.
that you had which
Yeah,
tipped the favor in favor of dentistry.
yeah.
Okay. And okay, so once you knew that you wanted to pursue dentistry, you've done the work experience, what else did you have to do in getting ready to apply for dentistry?
So I prepared for the UK CAT,
Yeah.
as well as doing a little bit of interview preparation, and I made my personal statement when I got help from you guys,
Yeah.
and then I had the interview stage, which didn't go so well for me.
Okay.
But that's it. Yeah,
So let's talk about the interview stage. Where did you get an interview?
I had three interviews: one at University of Manchester,
Yes.
one at Birmingham, and one at Sheffield.
Okay, so your application must have been very strong to get three interviews, and you know those are some tough units to get into. So, I mean, just on that alone, what do you think made you stand out in your application to get three interviews? Was it your UK CAT? Was it your personal statement? What do you think your strengths were?
Personally, I think it was my personal statement that stood out most, because my UK CAT was an average score. I can't quite remember what exactly it was, but it wasn't uh, outstanding. But the personal
Was it in the
statement stood out.
500s, 600s, 700s?
It was in the 600, mid 600s.
So talk to us about why you think the personal statement was quite strong.
Well, I worked on it for quite a while,
Hmm.
and after I'd improved it once, I improved it again, and then I improved. I continued to improve it until I thought it was perfect. But then I realized it isn't ever perfect until uh, it's just about you.
Hmm.
And um, at the end, uh, I got constructive feedback from uh, dentists like yourself and the dentist I did work experience with. And after putting it all together, I think that's what made it stand out.
What was the difference then when you had ended up getting advice from dentists about your personal statement? What was the thing that was mentioned in those discussions?
Um, it was more to do with exploring about myself rather than talking about dentistry,
Yeah,
which I was doing a lot. I wasn't really including stuff about what my experiences were to do with
yeah,
dentistry,
yeah,
and that's what I was mainly advised to do, which I changed in the end. Yeah,
yeah. So it was more that reflecting side that
yeah.
needed to get into. Okay. Um, so I could talk to us about the interview experience. How was that going to the different interviews? Which interview was first?
So the University of Manchester one was first,
Yeah.
and that was an MMI, and it was the first choice university for me, and um, it wasn't very difficult, but I think I just didn't do as well as I should have done, and I got a little nervous during
Yeah.
the interview, and I couldn't answer for the full 7 minutes,
Okay.
so it was a little bit tough for me.
Yeah. And then what was the next interview after that?
The next one was Birmingham, which was also an MMI,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure what happened on this one. I thought I did quite well, but
Yeah.
uh, obviously it didn't go so well, and I didn't get an offer from either of these universities.
Okay.
And the Sheffield one was the final one, and this was a panel interview where there were two professors and one 50th student, I think,
Yeah.
and they were asking me questions which I was answering.
So to talk to us about when you look back now, what were some things you think could have been better about your interview technique? Um, yeah, tell us some things that you've learned from that process.
But I think I panicked on the day when I had the interviews, and I wasn't as confident as I should have been, and um, I didn't talk about myself like I should have done.
Yeah.
So it wasn't quite up to uh, the standard that they were expecting.
Yeah. So what had your experience of interviews been up to that point? Had you had interviews for jobs before, or was this the first, you know, stage in your life where
Uh,
you really had interviews like this?
yeah, it was the first time I had interviews similar to this year.
Hmm.
So
Um,
I was struggling to get onto terms with this, and it was just a new experience for me. I had a little bit of practice, but I don't think it was quite enough for uh, what the actual interviews had in terms of the questions and things like that.
yeah. Okay, so you've applied, you've got interviews. Must have done very well to get the three interviews. Um, what was the one that you didn't get? Which is the one that never got back to you for an interview?
Bristol,
Bristol. Okay,
yeah.
Bristol. And once you had those, decisions made, what was running through your mind? What options were you considering? Were you considering doing something else? What was happening?
Well, in the moment, I was thinking about um, doing something else. I was considering applying for a different subject if I didn't get into any of the universities. And eventually, when I got the reply from the universities, I got told about the prospect of doing dentistry abroad by this friend of mine, and that's when I started looking into it. And over the next few months, I decided that's what I wanted to do.
Okay, so what's what did you find out about applying abroad for for dentistry? Because it's an option that not many people will know about. I mean, obviously you didn't know about it until your friend mentioned it. But
Yeah.
what things did you learn? What areas can you apply to? Um, where is it best to apply to if you want to practice back in England? Like, what was going through your mind? What did you learn? Just share that with us.
Well, there's many universities across Eastern Europe where you can apply, and I chose the particular university that I chose was uh, because of the fact that there were many students like myself from the UK going to this university.
Yeah.
So that's what made my decision to go into this university
Okay. So where is the university?
in a city called Plovdiv.
Okay, you have to teach me how to pronounce that. Say that again.
Plovdiv,
Plovdiv. Okay, Plovdiv.
yeah,
I'll have to practice that one. And that's in Bulgaria.
yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been to Bulgaria before?
No, not before I came to study. No.
Yeah. So okay, what was appealing? What else was appealing? So there were going to be people that were from England on the course. What else was appealing about doing dentistry there?
Um, I didn't really look much into the course aspects of it, but it was um, it was a bit. The university looked quite new, and compared to the rest of the universities in the country, so that's another decision why I chose that
Yeah.
particularly.
What did you need to submit to apply? How do you go about applying?
Um, well, usually people use a specific agency to apply to study abroad.
Okay.
So there's Study Medicine Europe and companies like Tutelage that help with the application process, with submitting the documents and converting them and things like that.
Okay. And is it something you think somebody could do by themselves without an agent? What do you think?
Yeah, quite a few people do it themselves, but they do say it's quite difficult to um, get all the documents sorted out. And I think with revising for A levels and stuff like that going on before the application starts, it's a little bit difficult, and you have a little bit less time to submit the documents. Yeah.
Okay. And how do they assess your application? What do they look at?
So they look at a mixture of things. They look at your A level grades. I think they want it at a minimum of all Bs. They mainly look at biology and chemistry, and they look at the entrance exam score. So they have an entrance exam which you have to do, and I think that's, they don't look at anything else.
Okay. And what was the entrance exam like?
It was questions that were similar to A level, uh, A level based questions, but some of them weren't on the syllabus that I was taught. So there was a few past papers available online. So if you just completed them, you'd know the content.
Okay. All right. And what's the time? What are the timings of the application? So when do you have to when can you apply from, and when do you have to apply by?
You can apply as early as June, and as late as end of August.
Okay. Do you think it
Yeah,
affects your chances of getting in if you applied in June or if you applied in July or August?
yeah. I think you have a little bit of higher chance to get in if you applied in June as early as possible,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't impact it a lot.
Okay. So for you, you applied for dentistry in the UK by October, um, and
Yeah.
by the new year, you were having your interviews. Um, and when did you then submit your application for Bulgaria, dental school at Bulgaria?
Um, I actually did the entrance exam at the in mid-July, so I'm not sure actually when my application was actually submitted by the agent, but um, I sent him the documents by early June, mid-June time.
Okay. And then once they got back to you so that you had an offer there, when did you have to move to get started, and how was that organizing accommodation?
Um, it was okay because they have a lot of estate agents that speak English now, so they were able to communicate with us, even though the landlords uh, don't know much English. They were able to be the middleman to communicate with them for us
Yeah.
and to get the apartment sorted. And it was okay because uh, I was sharing with one of my friends who's there as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
So one of your
yeah,
friends is decided to study dentistry as well.
yeah. He
Okay. So
studied at the same college as me as well, and we were both from Blackburn.
Okay, representing Blackburn in Bulgaria.
Yeah,
Okay, so what are costs like? Because a big thing is going to be um, affording, you know, doing dentistry in Europe or in Bulgaria. What are costs like in Bulgaria in terms of living costs and then even tuition fees? Obviously, in England, there's student finance. What's
yeah.
it like paying for um, dentistry in Bulgaria?
So when you study dentistry abroad, you don't get any sort of student loans or bursaries or anything like that. Um, it's all paid upfront. So for the tuition fees, it's two payments of 4,000 euros. So first semester you pay 4,000 euros, and then you pay another 4,000 for second semester. And living costs, including paying for your apartment and um, everything, it comes to about 6,000, 7,000 euros a year.
Mm. So you're talking about 15,000 euros a year for 5 years.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's potentially cheaper than doing it in England. Do you know what the conversion
yeah.
would be for 75,000 euros to pounds, or even on a, you said 8,000 for the tuition. Do you know what the conversion to pounds would be?
I'm not completely sure, but it must be about 7,500 pounds, which is equal to 8,000 euros.
Okay. All right. So quite similar there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some other things that um, you think would be useful to know for somebody that wanted to take the same route as you?
Um, it's a little bit difficult after settling in the country and being so far away from home, obviously, and from your friends and family. But um, after a few months, when you get used to it, it's
Yeah.
a little bit better, and you just have to know that you're gone there to study, and you just have to do some things in life to get what you want.
Yeah. And in terms of settling into the course, what's it
Yeah.
like in the first few months studying dentistry there?
So it's all lecture based, and you don't really get much information from the lecturers or the professors there because they they hardly communicate with the students. But you just have to find your way around things or ask older students uh, about what to do or who to go to ask for help.
Hmm. So was it a bit of a culture shock moving
Yeah,
into Bulgaria?
yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the what are some of the things that you've learned that's different from being here in England?
The weather's a lot different. Yeah, and just the city is much. It looks much more old-fashioned than the UK.
Yeah.
So it was quite a different environment to the UK.
Yeah. When you say the weather's different, is it colder or is it warmer?
Well, in the summer months it's much warmer, but in the winter it's much colder than the UK.
All right. And where are the other students from? So obviously you and your friend came from Blackburn.
Um,
Where are the other
yeah,
students coming from?
a lot of the students that study in the university that I study at is are from the UK. Some are from other countries across Europe, such as Italy or Greece, but most of them are from the UK.
Yeah.
And the course is all taught in English.
Okay. And how many are on your cohort?
Studying dentistry, there's 80 students in our year,
80.
around 80. Yeah, 75 to 80 students. Yeah.
Okay. Um, and from year two, how do things change as you go from year two to year five?
Well, if you fail an exam, you've got to wait a full. If it's a compulsory exam, you've got to wait a full year before resitting it. But if it's not a compulsory exam, there's two reset periods where you can have the chance to pass it. So there's one in June, end of June, July, and one in September time,
Mm.
where you have a chance to redo the exam, or you can carry two exams over into second year from first year, and then uh, three into the third year, and so on.
Okay.
You can take one every year. Yeah.
All right. And in terms of the practical element, so clinical skills, how do they carry that out?
Um, we've not done much clinical skills at the moment, but I think we'll be getting more into that in the further years. Uh, I think in fourth year there's a lot of clinic-based things to do, but at the moment it's just mainly been theory and practical about the human body as a whole.
Yeah. And then when you finish dental school, what happens?
Uh, I've not been told much about it, but um, with the university being accredited by the um, UK Dental Association, you can come back and uh, start working in the UK with the degree that you have.
Yeah. Do you do a
And
foundation here in Bulgaria?
yeah, you do the foundation year one. The 6 months that you do spend in hospitals is potentially the foundation year one.
Okay.
And then when you come back here, then you go into foundation year two.
All right. So you would do 6 months in hospital in Bulgaria, then you would
Yeah,
do a year foundation year in England as well.
yeah.
Okay, I see. I see. And have you thought much about it? Would you definitely be coming back, or is it too soon to say?
Yeah, I've always thought that I'm coming back to the UK,
Yeah.
but I've not really thought about anything else. No.
So, being in Bulgarian, speaking English, you say that your classmates, most of them also speak English. Your lecturers speak English, but how do you get by in terms of speaking with anybody else in the shops, on the streets? Do you have to teach yourself Bulgarian?
No, we actually learn Bulgarian in the university. We have about 6 hours per week of lesson time on Bulgarian,
Yeah,
and we do this for the first 2 years, where we study the language and learn to say sentences and speak and have conversations in Bulgarian. And in fourth year, we have to actually find patients, uh, find our own patients to do certain treatments on them
yeah,
to be able to pass that year. So, as you can imagine, you have to speak to them in Bulgarian because not a lot of the citizens in the city can actually speak English or understand English.
yeah,
So you've got to actually speak to them in Bulgarian, which
yeah.
is a little bit difficult.
So teach us a simple phrase, sentence or two in Bulgarian.
So kaksi means how are you,
Yeah.
and dober den means good day, and that's all that's on the top of my head at the moment.
All right. And how
I
long
think
do
I've uh, I think I've forgotten it in the 3 months that we had off.
you, how long do you get to practice your Bulgarian?
So we have an exam every at the end of every year. So that's for 2 years, and they just monitor our improvement over the couple of years that we have to study it.
Okay. And you said that you had to get your own patients. What happens
Yeah,
if you're struggling to get your own patients? Is it a mandatory thing?
yeah, you have to and have to have patience. So some people actually get the students from the younger years to be their patients, um, and to be able to do treatments on them rather than having to go look for the patients in Bulgaria.
Okay. All right. So that's something that you're going to have to be thinking about in the later years, getting
Yeah,
patients.
yeah,
Yeah. All right. Now that's really interesting. That's different. That's different because when I did dentistry here in England, the patients came through as NHS patients, and they were always
Yeah,
around, so you didn't have to actually go and get some off the street. So very different there.
yeah. On the street, you have to offer free treatment to the citizens, and you have to ask them if they want to receive this free treatment of you, and you have to tell them how you're a student studying at the medical university, and if they choose to accept it, then they come in and you do a checkup, and then um, a few days or a week later, you carry out the treatment that's required.
Okay, all right. Now,
And a particular treatment will give you a certain number of points, and there's a particular number of points you need to be able to pass that semester.
okay, so if you don't get that points, you can't progress to the next stage.
Yeah, I don't think you can know.
If you're to do it again, you would choose the same path, or would you? Or actually, why didn't you consider waiting another year to apply to dental school? Um,
um, well, my A level results came back, and I didn't quite get the three A's that were required to get in, so um, and I didn't want to do the route where you do by another degree and then going in, such as biomedical sciences, and then going into dentistry, because that's a lot more competitive. And I didn't think if I couldn't get into dentistry itself, then it'd be much more difficult to get in via another degree. So uh, I just thought that there was no point of me trying to do a different thing and just going straight into it without wasting a year.
yeah. And when you're there in Bulgaria, are you having to work a part-time job to keep things going? Do you have much free time? What's it like?
Well, it's a little bit difficult to get a job in Bulgaria without knowing the language. So most of the pay, all of what's paid actually is from my parents,
Mm,
and yeah, we do get a lot of free time, and I just try to spend it with my friends as much as I can, or just study for some exams that are coming up, and yeah, that's about it.
all right. Hey, it's been good chatting with you and finding out about the experience. It's not one that I was fully aware of in terms of how you go about the process. But from talking to you, it
Yeah,
looks like you can apply by yourself, but then you've got the burden of
yeah,
doing that as well as your exams, or you can choose to go through an agent like you did. Typically, what are
yeah.
agent fees like?
Well, the agent that I paid was actually 500 pounds for applying, and then 500 pound once you were accepted. So in total, it was 1,000 pounds. But some people who have used agents that are found online costed up to about 2,500 pounds. So it can vary depending on which agent you go through.
Yeah. And how can you find a trustworthy agent?
Quite a lot of them are online, and they've been used by many people, so you can really trust them.
Okay, so you want to find an agent who's had other students that they've helped, and
Yeah,
you can see that as a
and it's better if you know somebody that already studies abroad, and you can ask them about the application process, and they can tell you who they use to get into the university, and then you can just use the same agent as them, which
all
would
right.
be the best situation. Yeah.
Okay, now awesome, awesome. If we ever do a workshop in the future, we might have to get you to fly over and talk about studying abroad.
No problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Any last words before we close off?
No, that's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, no, thank you for your time. And I'm
No
sure a lot
problem.
of people that are thinking about studying dentistry abroad will find this useful because I don't think there's too
Yeah.
much out there on studying dentistry abroad. So thank you for adding to that.
No problem. No worries.